Hey, hi there. Um, so I wanted to do a video tutorial for this next video, and in this video I'm gonna show you how to add some nice, quick, awesome details in Substance Painter. But we're gonna take those details into ZBrush so that we can um, get those details for 3D printing. So just wanted to show you the mask that I sculpted. So this will be in ZBrush, and what it will look like is it's a bit harder to show, but all these little nice details here you can see on this mask that I've 3D printed has all of this stuff is not hand sculpted. These are all done in Substance Painter with procedural textures and curvature masking and edge masking, and it just adds nice details everywhere. And in Substance Painter, you've got materials like wood that has some height to it, and all that stuff you can then transfer over into. So in this tutorial, we're going to transfer it over into ZBrush. I actually haven't seen anyone do that yet for 3D printing in the games industry. After you've done your high poly sculpt, and then you take that into Substance Painter, and then you take that into the game engine. There's really no need to bring it back into ZBrush. That would just be a huge waste of time, and that would just take too long. Whereas this is a nice little simple project. This mask only took me 1 hour, 2 hours to sculpt, another hour in Substance Painter, then 14 hours to print. So, personal time for me is very short. So I try to do these things as quick and smart as I can. And I'm just really happy to share this tutorial with you. And I hope you guys enjoy it. So now let's get into it.
So here we go. We're now in ZBrush, and we're going to take a mask like this and add detail with Substance Painter so that it will then look more like this mask. As you can see, it's quite detailed with lots of texture and interesting damage, making it look more realistic. So first thing we need to do before we bring this into Painter, we need to make sure it is manageable. So we're gonna decimate everything here. It doesn't need to be super low, just enough so that ZBrush, so that Substance Painter could handle it. So at the moment, this main part of the mask is at 3.6 million points. So we're gonna make sure that is up to only 250k points. So you just need to go into Z plugin and then go into Decimation Master and press that button. For the other subtools like the teeth and the tongue and the head, I'm gonna set that at 20k, and yeah, so I'll just fast forward this part, and then once it's done, we'll get on to bringing this into Substance Painter. So all our meshes are now decimated. So I have the main mask at 250,000 points, and the rest are at 20. I think we could also merge the teeth as well. So I'm just gonna take these two subtools and merge them down. So we're gonna start there and then going to merge and merge down. Hit OK, and we could add the tongue to the main mask. It's up to you on how many parts you want to be separate. That just means you get more textures to deal with. But we want to do this sort of quick, so less is easier, or less takes less time. Right, now let's go into Z plugin and go to the FBX export import menu here. Have everything, have this set to visible, and just press export, and now we can export this as something. Call it whatever you're working on. All right, so we got an FBX exported, and the meshes are all decimated. So that's the first part. So now we're in Substance Painter, and this is the other mask, the older mask, and you can sort of see how this was textured. But we'll now start the next mask, the tiger mask. So let's go and do a new project. File, select your mesh. So this is the tiger mask, and press open. And then in the import settings, you want to change the document resolution to 2K or 4K. In Painter, when you have this at 4K, it's a little bit harder to paint in real time. But we're not going to do a lot of painting for this tutorial, so we'll do it at 4K for now. And also you want the import settings to have auto unwrap. So this is going to add some UVs to your FBX, to your mesh files, which is handy. So we'll hit OK, and we'll wait for it to unwrap. I think this is also going to take some time, so I might speed up the video or fast forward to that also. So Substance Painter is now finally imported our mesh and has done an auto UV unwrap on it. It took I guess 10 minutes to 20 minutes to do it. Anyway, so we're here now, and we've got the mask, and it's running smoothly. Once we start to add layers to this, it's going to slow down, so we'll try to keep it low. We don't want to add 100 layers in Substance Painter. That can really slow down the software. So we'll go into our texture set settings. You can find that, and then go into bake mesh maps. So before we can do anything procedural or things that can use the curvature, we need to bake those maps, these mesh maps. But we don't need all of it. We don't need ID, and we don't need. We just don't need ID, but we'll just bake the rest of this. So we're gonna change the output size to 4K, and we're gonna use the low poly mesh as a high poly mesh. So it's just gonna bake itself. In a game pipeline, you would have a much more lower poly mesh and a higher poly and a high poly mesh to bake from. Whereas this, we're just gonna use our low poly mesh as the high poly mesh, and we're gonna bake all the textures. So bake selected textures. All right, so it's done. Let's go into the main mask, which is this one. All right, and then so you want to select the texture set that you want to be working on. So make sure you're on the right one, and then go into layers, and then we'll drop in our first material. So I'm just gonna change the window here. We want to get the material, reset UI. Okay, right, and we got the layers here, and we got our materials. So we want to use some smart materials. So layers are like a single layer, and then smart materials is a composition or a group of layers which does something cool usually. So, but in here we're going to search for wood, and all sorts of stuff comes up. We're going to use something. Let's see what that looks like. Just drag it on here. Okay, so this is very similar to the one I've used before. You can open up this folder and mess around with the layers here, and see what sort of cool things you can do. Let me just move this to the side here. Okay, so there we go. Right. So fibers, so go into that layer. We can change the scale up here on UVs transformations. So we can make that 0.75. It just makes it a little bit bigger, more visible. Let's make it 0.5. And we can rotate it as well. Oh, this is just the color. What we want is this height. Wood fibers. So that's this layer here. And we can go into this wood pattern texture and make that bigger. 1.5. I think that will do. And then change the amount. So yeah, you can just play with this a bit. Increase the height if you want. That's the main channel that we'll be playing around with if we want to bring this back into ZBrush. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to add some edge damage first. So we'll do another fill layer, and then we're going to hit Alt Height here on the properties fill, on the properties of this fill layer. And before we do anything to this slider, let's just add a black mask in here on this layer, and then add a, or we could do this manually here, or we can use the smart masks. So we'll go into smart masks, and you got a bunch in here that we can use. So we'll put in edge, and let's find some edge damage. Edge strong scratch. Let's use edge damage first and see what that looks like. Okay, and then now we can go into the height, and let's add color as well, just so we get a visual of what that looks like. And now we can drop the height. Okay. You can see it's using the curvature map and some grunge textures, and we can still edit this. So let's go into you click on the mask, and then click on the mask editor here, and then this should then show us all the properties that we can edit. So we'll change the balance. Let's bring the balance up. Let's get the texture down. Oh, adding more. Yeah, we can add more here. So let's keep this. And now let's add another mask on top of this. And let's call it, let's use this edge scratched. And that will add that on top like this. And we can set this to lighten or add. So basically we're just making it brighter, and now we can control the opacity on that if you wanted to, or go into the properties of this curvature, and you can change how fine or small we want that curvature to be. So I'm gonna move the fine down. Okay, I think that's looking pretty cool. Okay, and so you can do stuff like that with smart masks and masks. And now we're going to add stuff with some textures that Substance Painter has. So this will be smart masks, and then we'll have we'll do another fill layer, and let's call this texture. Texture in or out. Let's call this texture in first. So texture in is things like scratches or cracks, and then texture out will be something like paint, you know, some thick paint sort of coming out. So let's add another mask here, and add this time we'll add a fill onto this mask. So we're going to grayscale, and then in the properties of that fill, we're going to grayscale into this. We're going to now look for a texture here, and then let's just look for a scratch. Yeah, something like that. And then let's alt click on height, so it isolates all the other channels just to this height. And then I'm going to add color. We can change the color if you want to visualize it, or if you want to do proper texture, then you could with color. Okay, and now we close that, and now we change. Now the height will go down, and now we've got some scratches. Scratches are maybe too big, so we'll go into the to that fill that we have in the mask. Now we just need to change the scale here on the UV transformation, so maybe 3, yeah, 2, yeah, 5, make that 5. Yeah. Does feel like there's too much scratches, so maybe it's we'll try a different scratch texture. So that one. Okay, and maybe that's too small, so 2.5. I think it's a little bit wobbly, so we're not going to use the UV projection here. So this is trying to put it within the UV into the UV layout like this. It's not looking pretty good, so we'll switch this to triplanar projection, and now our scratches should look a little bit more straight. Okay. I think let's stick with these scratches for now, and now we're going to add something that goes out. I mean, you could add more texture here if you wanted to. Let's see what else we got here. So just type in here grunge. Then maybe we'll find something that look interesting. Maybe this one. Let's see what this does. And let's change that to triplanar projection again. And then we want to scale this up. 1.5, and then change that to add, so we can see our scratches again, and we can dial it down just a bit, so 15 on that layer. All right, and now let's add some paint. So let's do a texture out layer. So fill layer. So we'll do this called texture out, and we'll isolate the height channel and add color so we can visualize it. I'll change that to red, and we'll add another black mask, another mask on this mask. Oh, it's gonna get confusing. And we'll add another fill here, and let's find some paint. Or smudge. Yeah, I like that. Okay, and then we'll change that to triplanar projection and scale that up. Okay, so, and we'll change the height of that, so we'll go up a bit. So yeah, I mean, depending on how comfortable you are with Painter, you can do as much as you want. This is just the basic stuff. So I'm just gonna put color here so we can sort of see what sort of detail we've done. All right, so we've gotten a little bit crazy here. Maybe change the roughness, a bit too shiny. Okay, so we can tone some stuff down. Let's go into our height channel in the layers menu, the layers tab. And now we can start to dial some stuff down. So texture in. I think it's looking okay. I think let's check what texture out is doing. Okay, so texture out's doing a bit too much. So we'll dial that down by 10. And that's also doing quite a bit, that curvature, so we'll dial that down as well. And if you wanted to manually paint stuff out, then yeah, you could easily do that here. I wouldn't keep it all procedural for my masks. I would also sort of be more intentional about it. You know, adding more detail where it makes more sense. And if you can do that here in Substance Painter or in ZBrush. So Depending on how much time you have and how much time you want to spend is up to you. So I think this is looking good. Let's leave it at that. All right, so now that our mask is done, now that we're done texturing our mask in Substance Painter, we want to make sure we've saved our file. So if you want to save your file, save as, call that tiger mask. Okay, and then here in the texture set list, we want to rename these because these are quite hard to locate if they're not if everything is kind of named similarly, like wax dye mesh, U mesh. I find them quite hard to find. So we'll name this tiger main mask, and call this one tiger teeth demo. Okay, so this is should have no trouble trying to find this demo. Okay, and now we're gonna go into file. So we're gonna export the mesh and we're gonna export the textures for this. So we're gonna go file, export the mesh first, and then export. Save it as something like tiger mask with UV on it, and save. Yeah, that shouldn't take too long. And then file, export textures, and we're just going to export the tiger main mask demo here, and we're going to change the file type to JPEG, so Zbrush can only can't open all of these different file types, so choose JPEG, and we're going to have the size set at 4K. Make sure it saves in the correct folder, and then we're going to select this texture sets that we want to export. So we don't want to export all these output maps either. We don't need color, roughness, metallic, normal, and emissive. So all we need is just this height channel. So now we're okay to press export. So export that, and one texture selected for export. I think that's done that now. So okay, now we're ready to move on to ZBrush. So now we're here in ZBrush, and we're going to import our new mesh. So open up Z plugin, and then find the FBX export import menu again, and then this time press import. Let's open up our tiger mask UV, which has UVs unwrapped, and now we'll select our mask, our main mask, the one that we've added detail to. So I'm just gonna focus on this, and we'll now go into displacement map, and this is how we're gonna add our height channel onto this mask. So press import, and then find your height map. So let's find the one that says demo. There we go. And press open. And if we try to turn displacement on, it's going to tell us that we need to create a texture map. So go into texture map here and just create new one from masking. Since there's no actual masking on it, it's just going to come up as a white texture. And now we can go into displacement map and turn it on. Nothing's happening yet. We need to bump the intensity. So 1 will be too much, and also the textures in the wrong orientation. We need to flip it. So let's clone this displacement map first. And now this is now selected in the alpha
um, and the alpha. And now we're going to flip vertically. And now we can plug that back in again. So click on this box here and then just click on the one that you already have selected. There we go. Now, intensity is too strong. I find that 0.1 or 0.05 or 0.2 is best. 0.1 or 0.05. You still want it to be a little bit smoother. And there you go. So now we've got this more detailed, realistic looking mask in ZBrush. But we're not done there yet. We need to apply it to the actual mesh. This is just a rendering. So if we press apply displacement map, we don't have enough subdivision levels to support that detail because it's been decimated. So we're gonna undo that and now go back, go into geometry, and now we're gonna subdivide this. So we'll need about maybe 2 more subdivision levels. So my limit is usually below 10 million polys. Now we'll go back into displacement map and apply displacement map. Okay. If you still want to like bump it up or tone it down before applying the displacement map, you can apply a morph target. And so to go into morph target, store morph target, and now in displacement map, we're going to hit apply. So in morph target, now you can sort of slide the details up and down as you wish. So you can make it really noisy or just about there. Yeah. So now I'm happy with this. So I mean, there's lots of other things that we need to do to this mask so that it will actually become a mask. Like maybe adding some holes for some attachments so that it can, like for ropes or stuff or string to hold the mask. And also we'll need to decimate this model before we send it to the 3D printer because 6 million polys might be too difficult for the 3D printer to process. So I would do a similar thing that we did before with Decimation Master. I would just I like things to be simple, so I will just hit that 250K preset for the decimation, and that should be it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it useful in any way. And yeah, let me know what you guys think, and if you guys want to give me some suggestions or for the next videos, I'm quite interested to know what you guys want to know, and I'm always keen to learn as well. So yeah, let's all learn. All right, see you guys. Hope you have a good day and a good week. Bye.